All right, here we go, boys and girls. All right, hey YouTube, what's up? It's your boy coming at you with a new video. Just really getting real close to wrapping this this whole experimental head tube angle series up, because today I went from 64.0 all the way steep to 65.5. So this is as steep as this bike will get. And in this configuration, being in the Mullet setup, it's also as short as this bike can get. And it's weird in the pictures, just looking at it after I was done, standing back and taking a look at the bike, like it looks short. Like I know if you guys didn't already, and if I haven't mentioned this before, this is a size S2 frame. So it's small. I'm 5'8". I'm definitely on the high end of it. And the whole reason I got the bike is because I wanted it to be my do-it-all kind of trail bike, and you know, just this to be a little bit more lively, a little bit more playfulness in the characteristics of it. I went ahead and went with the S2. Now, with that being said, I want to give you guys my initial impressions right now on just, you know, first mile in, about 200 feet of climbing. The bike's peppy. It's got so much pep, and the climbing abilities is for sure at its best right now. Like the bike, whenever you go to like just sit down and spin up the hill and going around switchbacks, like it is very responsive, very active, very predictable, and it carries its speed really good whenever you're trying to just throw a quick burst. Cornering is amazing. You know, I think when he put the Mullet setup, that 27.5 rear wheel on the back, I really think you gain like 20-30% better cornering with this bike. And it doesn't matter if it's a berm corner or a flat corner, like just leaning the bike over and dipping into the corners, it reacts so good. The handlebars, you know, the cockpit, everything's a little bit closer together, so you know, that's something that I noticed right away. And the seat position is just a little bit more comfortable. You know, it just makes that cockpit smaller, so whenever you're tackling trails or long days, I think this is going to be one of the better setups. Also, you know, I can feel the suspension's not as active. It feels a little bit stiffer, and I think that also contributes to the characteristic of it feeling just that, you know, that much more peppy. So for my initial impressions, that's what I got right now. The days are getting shorter. The sun is already behind the sun is already behind the mountain. The sun's already behind the mountain there. So to get this review finished in the daylight, I need to get up to the top here and get this climb. So I'll bring you guys in whenever I think there's something cool, and you know, my normal spots, and let you guys know what my thoughts are after I get up to those climbs. So let's get to it. So we're up here at the top, and the climbing ability of this bike at 65.5 is at its best for sure. I mean, on any bike with 150 160 travel, I feel like this bike for sure is a 9.5 to a 10. I mean, it is, I don't know how you can get much better, especially at this head tube angle, because it is so lively on the pedals, and the position that it puts you in is really good. The suspension's not very active on the climb, but it doesn't need to be, and I think that's because at this head tube angle, you know, being so steep and so small, it just really helps keep everything planted, so that you just get the best efficiency that you can out of the bike, and it just does it really well. The position, the seated position, pedaling in the seat is good. And I don't know, you know, I know that I said that I spun out a couple times in the rear, which is really weird. And I don't know if I just got good leg power today, if I'm just catching a rock at the right time as I'm coming down trying to power up something. But yeah, I definitely did, you know, pedal kind of kicked out a little bit, or not the pedal, the rear wheel kind of kicked out on me a little bit going up some of those switchbacks. But still, even with that being said, I still would say that this thing's, you know, easily a 9.5 to a 10 whenever it comes to the climbing abilities. It's absolutely insane going from 64 to 65.5 on how good that is. Now, with that being said, I I really didn't mind the climbing in the 64-degree head tube angle, although the bottom bracket does, you know, drop whenever you do that. So being that the bottom bracket is up 7 millimeters, like there's very few times where I have to worry about my cranks or even have to pop up something that takes a half crank. And today I made one of those ledges, like an 8-foot ledge that you kind of got to pop up over and carry a little bit of speed. And then a lot of times either my bottom bracket scrapes or I'm just so tired I don't have the power I get. I don't know. But today I made it. This is the first time I've made it. And I rode this bike and I tried that same ledge in full 29er at 65.5, and I didn't make it then. That's the very first time that I made that ledge. So I'm pretty stoked about that. So I don't know. You know, also going around the switchbacks, being that it's at its shortest wheelbase, man, you just motor, just, I mean, you go so quick. It's so responsive when you get on the pedals, and it's so much easier to carry your momentum in this head tube angle. So yeah, 65.5 climbing is, it's at its best. It simply is. And if you're doing mellower trails or long climb days with mellower trails, I don't know why you wouldn't just set your bike in this. And that's, you know, that's the versatility of this bike. That's why it makes, that's part of what makes this bike so damn good. Anyways, about to go down here. We're gonna go down just one of my regular routes. It's a very flowy section, fast at times. It's got some little things that I can pop off of, and just have a good time. There's no reason to do any blacks. The sun's going down pretty quick here, and on the one side of the mountain that I came up, it's already shaded and dark. So we're gonna go down the sun side and rip this thing, see how it feels. I'm excited because I don't know, is there another bike out there that does 65.5 mullet? Is there? I don't know. Anyways, let's get down. Drop in here at 65.5 mullet. And I just asked the question, is there another bike out there that's 150, 160 travel that does 65.5 mullet? If there is, hit me up with a comment down below on what that bike is. Let's get the old clears on here. Make it down the mountain safely and fun. Now, I did the review. If you guys haven't watched the review at full 29, 65.5, it's fun. And already I can tell, like, the suspension's having to work a little bit harder to get down into that mid stroke. It's a little bit chattery, but I feel like it's very, very lively, very, very poppy on the poppy side. Feels fast though. Real good in the pumps. Whenever I go to push down to pump it, very responsive. Oh, that's good. I want to burn through this area. Sometimes there'll be a lot of people conversating or waiting there because it's kind of one of those areas where everybody kind of sits and talks and takes a rest or a drink. Definitely a little more, definitely riding more on top of the bike. Like, I can definitely feel that with it being at a steeper head tube angle. Might ride this same head tube tomorrow too. Pretty good on the pedals. This is a chattery section here. Stays pretty still, pretty glued to the bottom. My feet aren't bouncing around all over the place. It feels pretty planted, which is pretty good for the steeper head tube angle. Ooh. Yeah, boy. Ooh. Hit the brakes. Oof, duh. Got so much wind in my eyes, I thought I was gonna peel one of my contacts back. That's a pretty good little area right there. I like that. It's one of my favorite spots. But so far, yeah, it's good. It feels fast, but it feels fast, but I don't think it's fast. Does that make sense? Like when I'm full 29er and I'm bombing down stuff like that, like I'm fast. Like it doesn't feel like the bike is eating up so much of the smaller stuff, so it just glides. This is kind of more, you can feel more of the chatter for sure, which kind of makes it feels like you're going fast because you're going over that, because I mean you are going over that stuff faster, but I think that gives you the appearance and the feel of going fast, but you're not actually going that fast. Anyways, let's drop in this next section here. Still very capable. Oh, see that right there felt fast. And then dropping into the, pumping these rollers like this and that one. Okay, so that was going in pretty fast, and definitely had the bike feel a little nervous there. Made me feel nervous. But see, like just punching up the punching up little climbs like that right there, just to kind of keep your momentum, feels good. And then cornering feels really good. Like with that 27.5 wheel in the rear, I don't know, it definitely helps it corner better, but I don't really feel like, I don't feel a huge penalty when going over the rough stuff in the rear. I'm not gonna say that it feels the same. It feels a little bit more like chattery, but as far as capability goes, like I don't feel like you lose any of the capability in the rear of what this bike can do in the Mullet setup. Oh, see, like that just feels so fast and active. It's a lot of fun, this head tube angle, it really is. Oh, see, even these flat corners are good. Oh, I came up to that fast. Usually I pop that, but I would say that the bike definitely has the it's the most effort to put in input into the bike, but it feels like it's also the most responsive whenever it comes to that input. Like when you're pumping into the rollers and popping off of lips and little side hits, like it feels the most responsive. Like you get the most feedback from that. Those flat turns are pretty good. I don't know, something about this head tube angle just makes this bike come alive. Ooh. So that little bunny hop is actually kind of tough because you're going up. You don't have to, you don't have a whole lot of momentum. Clear that rock, so that's pretty good. It's pretty active. It seems really easy with this head tube angle. I swear with, ooh, that was a good corner on that one. I swear with the other head tube angles, definitely feels like I have to put in more effort to make that. Of course, the bike's a lot longer. Not a lot longer, but usually longer in those head tube angles. So that's something to be said for that. This next section's pretty sweet. It's got a lot of berms. It's got this one side hip kind of jump that I like, especially with the Mullet, because whenever you hit it and you pop up and you bring that rear wheel up, it feels like with the 27.5 with the Mullet, like you can get that rear wheel all the way up and clear clear that landing so much nicer. Just feels like with the 29ers, like, oop, like I barely make it every time. Like it doesn't feel like I'm like flying through the air. It just feels like, oop, I made it. Anyways, I'll point it out to you guys here. This section gets going pretty quick too. Hopefully I don't run into any hikers. Pretty late in the day here on a Saturday, but you never know. Oh, this thing just turns so good. Woo! Oh shit, I went deep on that. But see, still have like so much confidence in the bike. Oh, there we go. This hip. Boom! See, I just... Oh! Oh! I thought it was gonna slide out. So good in the corners. So good. On the smaller jumps, this thing seems to go so much deeper. Ooh, that rear end's a little loosey-goosey. I can feel it sliding. There's a little bit of sand back there. Anyways, that's probably one of my favorite sections on this mountain. It's just fun and fast, man. Just like the 29er. But you don't have to go mock chicken to have, you don't have to be going mock chicken to have fun on this thing. And it's a great climber. And the fucking bottom bracket's up there. It's just great. All right, stay tuned for the conclusion. All right, guys, so if you're here for the conclusion, thank you so much for watching the video thus far. Do me a favor while I got your attention. Hit the subscribe button. I made my goal of 500. Now let's get to 1,000 so we can get this channel monetized. That would help me out a lot. Give me a thumbs up if you like the video this far. If you've got some kind of entertainment value out of it, I'd sure appreciate it. Now, this bike, this Stumpjumper Evo, is just an amazing bike because of how versatile it is. Like at 150, 160, it's a really great travel. I really don't think in 90% of the situations you are ever going to be without putting the bike in a position that you like it at, that you're ever going to be underbiked. You're never going to be underbiked. Yeah, that makes sense. You might be overbiked in some situations, but you're never going to be underbiked in 90% of the situations and 90% of the trails that are out there. And I think that's what's so good about this bike. So with that being said, going down at 65.5 in the Mullet, it feels faster than the 29er. I don't know if it is faster, but it feels faster. And partly I think because that rear end comes around so fast, it makes the bike just, you know, that much more compact. So that wheelbase is just so much easier maneuvered around switchbacks and corners and faster situations, tighter situations. Does that make sense? And that just makes the bike that much more fun. Hitting the little jumps and the drops that we have on this trail, they're not big by any means, but it's more, I mean, this bike is more, even at 65.5, like this bike can handle so much more. It's so much more capable. And I just don't feel like even at 65.5, with that head tube being so slackened out, that there's not going to be a lot of trails. I mean, don't get me wrong, there are going to be some really steep trails and it's going to be tough for this bike. But I think that with 150, 160 travel, that it's very doable on this bike. Just have to go, you know, take your time, use that front brake, and you'll make it. But at this head tube angle, you don't have to go fast to have fun, and the bike feels fast. So I think that characteristic of this bike and this head tube angle is just sick. It's just so much fun. So coming up in the next video will be the last video in this series, because I'll be at 65 flat, and after that I'm not sure what's next for the video. I've been thinking maybe we'll do the up the travel on the fork to 170, because I think if I can have the bike at 60, so how do I say this? So if you add 10 millimeters of travel to the front of this bike, you're basically slacking it out by half a degree. So if it's at 65.5 now and you put a 170, then it's going to slacken the bike out to 65 flat. So if you have it in its current head tube angle, then you add a degree of slackness to it. And I think that riding this bike at put it in the 65, what is it, 65 flat degree head tube angle with a 170 will rake it out to be 64.5, but you'll be with that little bit longer chainstay in the rear, and I think that might be a pretty cool sweet spot for this bike. So I'd like to check that out. Anyways, if you guys liked the video, don't forget, give me a thumbs up, leave me some comments down below. Until then guys, peace out, go ride your bike.